Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Aqueduct Racetrack here on Thursday. It is the 14th of September 2023. It's the first day of the Belmont at Aqueduct meeting. Also, it's the first day of the Aqueduct Farewell Tour, and I'm going to look at all the races on the program from Aqueduct. But before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kid 5 for more selections for race courses around the world. And like I said earlier, it's this is going to probably it's not official, but if you read between the lines, it's probably official. We're not going back to Belmont for a couple of years now, so we're going to be at Aqueduct basically almost straight through until next July. Mine is like a weekend in June for the Belmont Stakes up at Saratoga, which I don't mind. I live 10 minutes from Aqueduct, so I get to just roll out of bed and roll to Aqueduct to watch the races, which I quite like. But it's gonna be sad in a few years' time when Aqueduct's gonna be no more. So while we still have her, we're gonna enjoy the races. And today's a good card. We're getting some rain Wednesday, and we had significant rain early this week on Sunday into Monday and Monday evening. So turf courses might have some give in it, so it's not going to be very fast. But these turf courses downstate at Aqueduct are the newest on the Naira circuit, so they do drain quite quickly. So let's get to the action. We have 10 races, and like I said, it's going to be a good meeting here at Aqueduct. And this year, this fall is really 20 years for me since I really started getting into like the day-to-day action from like Aqueduct on the Naira circuit, on the Yonkers and stuff. Be surprisingly enough, I first got into harness racing because my dad got into. My dad liked harness racing. My grandfather liked the flats. As I got older, I went more to the flats. But this year and the next year or so, I really want to celebrate where I came from Aqueduct to Yonkers to the Meadowlands and Freehold, because spent many times at Yonkers, not so much in the past, but Meadowlands on Friday nights and Aqueduct on Saturday afternoons, and in the fall you had Friday nights at the Meadowlands over the flat, and then Aqueduct, or not Aqueduct so much, but Belmont Meadowlands to Belmont. But I'm getting off subject. Let me get to this first race. We have 10 races to look at. The first race actually with the jumps. It's going to be the second jumps race at Aqueduct in about 50 years nearly, or third jumps race. The first race from Aqueduct, it's the Lonesome Glory Handicap. It's a grade 1 event going for $150,000 per race for 4-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of, 8 horses going to the inner turf course, which is the jumps course here at Aqueduct. The distance of ground of 4,000 meters, or 2.5 miles on the turf course. I'm going to take the one-horse Snap Decision. I'm going to go 1-6-5-3 in the superfecta. 1-6-5-3 super, top selection to one-horse Snap Decision. This 9-year-old gelding by Hardspun here. Jack Fisher trains. Graham Waters gets the mount. The horse hasn't been seen since Nashville. That came 3 miles in the grade 1 Iroquois hurdle, and he finished second by 3.25 lengths that day. And he was on the front end, setting some good pace. He jumped well. He had a minor breathing problem after the last race, so they had to give him surgery to correct it. Come back here, hopefully being a little bit better. Back to Aqueduct, we ran very well behind Noah the Ark last year. I'm going to give him redemption for that last race last year, and expect him to really run a good race here today. Two back the horse. Oh shit, my cat scared the crap out of me. He just ran in here via the jumped over the cat gate I have. But two back the horse ran at down in the south, 2.5 miles in a grade 2 hurdle, and he won by 1.75 lengths that day. And basically on the front end, he jumped well, he quickened up nicely, and very easy run. And then he ran the American Grand National Fair Hills last October, where he finished 6 by 44 lengths that day, and he just had nothing. He completely missed the mark, and he just didn't show up there. It wasn't his day to win. And then he ran last year's Lonesome Glory on this turf course, and as the 30 cents to the dollar favorite. He got beat by Noah the Ark, who absolutely freaked that day. This horse set the pace. He got caught in the stretch run, but he ran his heart out that day. He ran his heart out on the Jonathan Shepard last summer at Saratoga quite nicely, going away by 13.75 by Baker's dozen. But refreshing here, he could definitely win. I think the 6 horse could win also, who is City Dreamer for Jack Fisher, the other part of the Fisher duo here. Hasn't been seen since the Iroquois, where he just never really quickened up. He ran prior to that quite nicely down the south in defeat. He hasn't won in quite a few seasons since 2021, but he's running decent races. I'm going to give him a shot here on the ticket. He has hidden form that can win here. But to recap my selection for the opener from Aqueduct, Lonesome Glory Handicap, going to take the one-horse Snap Decision. Give kudos to the 6-horse City Dreamer. 1-6-5-3 super. 1-6 in your multi-race to the second event. The second event from Aqueduct, it's a maiden special weight purse, $90,000, race for maidens, 3-year-olds and upwards here. We have a field of 6 horses going the 1,600-meter journey or 1-turn mile here at Aqueduct. Back to a standard mile on dirt here at Aqueduct, not that Wilson mile, which could be very quirky, but it adds to the charm of Saratoga. I don't think they should take it away. But I hope they don't run the Met Mile next year out of that Wilson mile. I hope they run it here at Aqueduct. I could see them running that Met Mile maybe the week after the Belmont Stakes here at Aqueduct. We'll see, because that week right after Belmont, there's a bit of a lull. But my top selection here, I'm going to go with the 4-horse Opportunity Set. I'm going to go 4-5-3-1 in the superfecta. 4-5-3-1 super. Top selection 4-horse Opportunity Set. This 4-year-old gelding by Classic Empire. Chad Brown trains. Flavian Pratt gets to mount. The horse's most recent outing came the 4th of August, Saratoga. 6 furlongs in the mud and main special weight, 105,000. Off the bench, he finished 3rd by 7 3/4 lengths that day. He didn't get out of the gate so clearly. He was a little bit wide, and he needed the race there. Refreshing here to Aqueduct, getting a little bit longer. I think that's what he's been crying out for, and I think he should really improve off that race. He's definitely been improving. You know, his race here at Aqueduct on the 3rd of March on the day before Gotham Day, I believe. 7 furlongs in that main special weight. He didn't run. He finished 5th by 13 3/4 lengths as a very heavy favorite. He didn't get out of the gate so clearly. He was very wide, and he just was flat like a pancake. It wasn't his day to win. You know, prior to that, he was stupidly wide at Aqueduct, going a mile in a main special weight. He finished 7th by 10 lengths. He was so wide, he was basically at the Home Depot in the on the far turn. You know, just not his day to win. And then going 6.5 in November in a main special weight. He finished 2nd by neck that day, and he showed potential. He set the pace. He got caught in the lane, but he ran his heart out. He's training well since the last race, hopefully showing some pace. He could win. I'll use him. The 5-horse Black Rain, second time outing for Todd Pletcher and Irad Tees could win also. He started most recently 20th of August, Saratoga, going 7/8 in main special weight, where he finished 4th by 3.5 lengths that day. Again, he was a little bit wide. He needs something more, but he got around the race course well. He's the kind of horse, I don't know if he would have liked the Wilson mile, and I think a mile and 1/8 would be just too long for him right now, but coming here to Aqueduct, going to the standard 1-turn mile should suit him well. He's another horse, he's training well. In the early pick 5 that begins with this race, I'll definitely use him on the ticket. I think it's a 2-horse race between the Brown and Pletcher horses. But to recount my selection for the second from Aqueduct, gonna take the 4-horse Opportunity Set. Give kudos to the 5-horse Black Rain. 4-5-3-1 super. 4-5 in your multi-race. The third event from Aqueduct, it's main special weight purse, $75,000, race for mains, 2-year-olds here, state breds. We have a field of 8 horses going 1,200 meters or 6 furlongs on the Aqueduct main track. Before we go any further, something I noticed, the Belmont at Aqueduct meeting last year, some of these September 2-year-old races came up very nice, and a lot of the horses that were coming out of these 2-year-old races, as the season went on and as 2022 went into 2023, these races, they just been, you know, the horses that have been running out of them really been running great. So just keep an eye on some of these 2-year-old races, because you know they're good horses. I love the 6-horse Quiet Wisdom in the spot. I'm gonna go 6-8-7-4 in the superfecta. 6-8-7-4 super. Top selection 6-horse Quiet Wisdom. 2-year-old Colpa into the mischief. Todd Pletcher trains. Irad Tees Jr. got some outs. Horse's most recent outing came the 12th of August, Saratoga. 6 furlongs in main special weight, 88,000, and he finished 2nd by 3 lengths. Tall Paul took off clear that day. This horse just kind of got out of the gate lackadaisical that day. He hit it. You know, he just kind of stalked that day from wide poster. He needs something more, but, you know, I thought he ran okay on debut. Second outing, not the world's toughest race. I think he could get a better trip and win here today. He's been training quite well since the last race. A half mile on the main track at the spot, 49-1. 6th best workout out of 10 that day. And a half mile right after the race, and 47-3 on the main track. 4th best workout, 48. So I think he's ready to go. Pletcher's second time outing, you know, is 25%. You know, he always has good 2-year-old numbers with 21%. I'm going to give this horse shot on the ticket. I think the 8-horse Agelos, the great, for George Weaver and Manny Franco could win. Right now, George Weaver, his 2-year-olds have absolutely been running terrifically. This horse ran terrifically on debut behind Bustin' Away. Ran a terrific race in the front end to win. This horse just kind of stalked him that day. He was a little bit wide, but I thought he won a little bit more. I think he might be a little bit better with a 1-turn mile in his future, but coming back here off some decent workouts, off a decent debut, I expect him to really go up a lot. 7-2, I'm going to use him in this pick 4 or pick 5, whatever you decide to play. You know, again, another 2-horse race here. But to recount my selection for a third from Aqueduct, going to take the 6-horse Quiet Wisdom. Give kudos to the 8-horse Agelos, the rate. 6-8-7-4 super. 6-8 in your multi-race. The 4th race from Aqueduct, it is an allowance optional claimer purse, $85,000, race for fillies, mares, 3-year-olds and upwards, state breds here. Field of 10 horses entered. 7 through 10 are MTOs in that 4-horse field. It's some good horses in the main MTO field. And I think if it does get taken off the turf, you'll get a few of these other horses in it too. So I don't think it will be a half bad race if it gets moved to dirt. But hopefully it stays at turf because I think it's a good one. My top selection, I'm going to go with the 4-horse here, Collaboration. I'm going to go 4, 2, 5, 6 in the superfecta. 4256 Super, top selection of 4-horse Collaboration. This 3-year-old Philip English Channel, Lindo Rice trains. Jose Ortiz gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came in against stakes competition at Saratoga. Mile 16th on a good inner turf course in the Susie O'Kane Stakes, and the horse finished 9th by 11 3/4 lengths that day. Had a very wide poster, it was wide throughout. First time stakes quality horses, it just wasn't a recipe for success. She was very flat that day. Refreshing here, a little lesser quality horses. I think the horse is in a better spot to win. Her races on this track haven't been half bad at all. 2 back in the State Bred Optional 45 at the Spa, 1 mile on the 19th of July. She finished 7th by 8 1/4 lengths that day, and again, from a wide poster, was just very wide throughout, and she just kind of hit the wall that day. It wasn't her day to win, but she ran terrifically, though, at Belmont, 25th of June, a mile and 8th in a State Bred Allowance race, She won by 2 lengths that day. She stalked from from the inside. She got to the lead, and she quickened up nicely. That was a very good race that day, and, nothing wrong with that run. Race before, it was just, she should have won, going a mile 16th at Belmont in a State Bred Allowance race. She won by 3/4 length, but because this horse was bumping in the lane, Dylan Davis was race riding. They took the horse down. Was it the right call? I just don't think so. And then prior to that, in early May at Belmont, mile off turf in a lounge race, finished 4th by 11 1/4 lengths that day. On the dirt, she just kind of hit the wall that day. But like I said, she's running decently on this turf course. She had a decent second off the bench, first-time winners here in April, and then she broke her maiden on the 15th of September, so nearly a year ago here, and main special weight, winning by a neck, closing up from nowhere in a large field. I thought that was a very good effort. She's training well at Saratoga. Class relief from the last ones. Maybe she just didn't like that Saratoga turf course. Come downstate, back to the city. I'm going to use her here. I think the 2-horse here, Stella Mars, Ruben Silvera can win. He ran terrifically going on the 12th of August in that allowance race where he finished second by a neck, by 2 lengths behind Spinning Colors. Spinning Colors that day, closed up from nowhere to get the job done. But this horse had the lead and he got overtaken late, but he ran his heart out there. Prior to that, in a start allowance race at Belmont, going a mile 16th on the Widener, it was a good Widener turf course. It was the softer side of good because rain was coming on closing day at Belmont. But the horse won by 2 lengths. He closed up from nowhere. I thought it was a very good race there. And then won a claiming 35 non-3L at Belmont quite nicely in June. But coming here, back to state breds, back to this turf course, has won on this turf course, has run sneaky good races. I'll give her a shot on the ticket. Even the 5-horse Spinning Colors, that win last time out at on the 12th of August, Saratoga, wasn't bad at all, winning by 2 lengths with a 78 buyer. Even the win before that on 3rd of July at Belmont on the Widener, breaking the maiden by 69 buyer, I thought that was good for this horse. Since coming to the green stuff, the buyers have definitely jumped, and Mark Henning has figured this horse out. Mark Henning has had a very good winter at Gulfstream, not Gulfstream, very good summer at, because I'm looking at Gulfstream, but has had a very good summer at Saratoga. So let's see if this momentum keeps up here at down in Queens. But to recap my selection for the 4th from Aqueduct, gonna take the 4-horse Collaboration, give kudos to the 2-horse Stella Mars and the 5-horse Spinning Colors, 4256 Super, 425 in your multi-race. Let's get to the 5th event from Aqueduct, which is a claiming event going for a $37,000 purse. Race for 3-year-olds and upwards. Never won 2 races here. Claim price $25 grand. Field of 8 horses going 1,600 meters or a mile on the Aqueduct main track. I'm going to take the 7-horse Gut Feeling. I'm going to go 7-1-5-8 in the superfecta. 7-1-5-8 super. Top selection 7-horse Gut Feeling. This 4-year-old gelding by Blame here. Dick Dutrow trains, gets Gomez up in the saddle, and it'll be cool for Rick Dutrow to come back to Aqueduct, and I think it's his first starter here since he's come back. Be kind of cool for him to come back where he was based and win his first race back. But this horse ran horribly last time out at Saratoga. 1 mile of the Wilson Mile and a start allowance race. He finished 9th by 33 lengths that day, and he was with the pace setters, but then completely crumbled off the bench. I think he'd need the race. Here in a lesser quality spot, being forwardly paced, more standard kind of course. Like I said, not that quirky Wilson Mile. I'm gonna give him another shot here. He has races fast enough to win against these horses. Most recently, they ran him the 1st of April here at Aqueduct on it was Florida Derby Day. Excelsior Day also was there. I go to Aqueduct way too much. I think because sometimes I get out of early get out of work early in the city and take the A train from the city to Aqueduct on like a random Thursday afternoon, catch the late pick four stuff, and or even on a Saturday if I have nothing to do, well, let me go to Aqueduct. But that day, I'm pretty sure I bet this horse on that start allowance race at Aqueduct in April, where he finished fourth by 4 1/4 lengths that day, and he just from the inside he didn't get out of the gate so clearly. He stalked and then completely crumbled. I don't know if he wants to go 2 turns. He ran before that in late January, going 2 turns in a mile and eighth at Aqueduct, where he finished second by 12 1/2 lengths. Curbstone freak that day, and then he lost behind Tonal Impact, who was a good claim for Linda Rice there, who was having a decent season. Ran disappointing in the Suburban where I picked him, but other than that, has been having a good season. This horse just stalked him and really couldn't keep up there. But prior to that, in the main claiming event at Churchill, the mile 16th, he won by 3/4 length, and on the front, and he really took off clear. His race over the Wilson Mile last season wasn't bad at all either. And if you look at some of the races in Kentucky, in early 2022, he could definitely win. I think finally coming back to a 1 turn mile should suit him well. He's training well. I'm gonna give him a shot on the ticket. I think the one horse Happy Bob can win also. They tried him 2 turns from Y poster here over at Saratoga over the mile and eighth last time out, where he just finished second by 3/4 length, and I just thought he didn't save enough ground, which cost him. Also, I don't know if he wants to go a mile and the eighth. I do think he's another horse benefits greatly cutting back to a mile, getting Flavian back up, which I think is a good thing for this one. Another horse, it's taken him a while to find the winner's circle, but since coming down in class, he's really improved. He's definitely run races fast enough. I would use him on the ticket. Even the 5 horse playing with matches for Linda Rice and Jose Lascano. Jose Lascano, another rider who's at a very, very under the radar Saratoga meeting. Keep an eye on him going into this Aqueduct meeting. He always does good at Aqueduct, but especially now, just keep an eye on him because I think he's been on a renaissance lately. But, this one last time out, they tried him going 6.5, where he just didn't get out of the gate so clearly and couldn't keep up there against the speedier horses. Prior to that, he had a decent place at Belmont on the 7th of July. Hasn't won since last November here. Going to a mile for the first time on dirt, or second time on dirt. I'm going to give him a shot here at 3-1 on the ticket in this very wide open penultimate leg of the early multi-race wagers. But to recap my selection for the 5th from Aqueduct, going to take the 7 horse here. Gut feeling. Give kudos to the 1 horse Happy Bob and the 5 horse playing with matches. 7-1-5-8 Super. 7-1-5 in your multi-race. Let's head over to race number 6, a very exciting one. The 6th event from Aqueduct, it's a main special weight purse, $70,000 race for maidens, 2-year-olds here. We have a field of 9, 10, 11 horses going to the post. The distance of ground is 1,200 meters or 6 furlongs on the Aqueduct main track. My top selection, I'm going to go with the 5-horse Picata Prince. I'm going to go 5-4 2B1X. It's a little quirky, I know. 5-4 2B1X. So we have the old 1A, 1X, 2B. We're just waiting for that 3C and that rare 4X or 4D, which we would run here in occasionally here in New York City. We haven't seen like a 3C in many, many years probably. But the 1X is getting the saddle cloths are coming out, which I find cool. But it's 2023. I think we get rid of a couple of entries. But my top selection here, I'm going to go with the 5-horse Picata Prince. This 2-year-old colt by Munnings. Linda Rice trains. Jose Ortiz gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the 3rd of September at Saratoga. 5.5 on the melon in a state bred or restricted main special weight. The horse finished 3rd by 4 3/4 lengths that day, and he had a very wide poster. He was wide throughout. He needed something more, but I didn't think he got around the race course well. In both his races, he didn't run half bad. They tried getting him on turf on the debut, 4th of August, Saratoga, but it got rained off on the main track on the mud. Seal going 5.5 on the dirt in a main special weight. He finished second by 3/4 length that day. He was a little bit wide that day, but he was closing up well late. Honest Al was kind of hitting the wall, but again, he ran his heart out there. He's making a quick turnaround. He's entered for dirt. 3rd time might be the charm for him. He has some pace, it looks like, in the workouts. I'm going to give him a shot here. I think the 4-horse Charlie's Express for Gregory Sacco and Jose Lascano could win. Most recently at Monmouth, 5.5 in the main special weight for Jersey breds. He is a Jersey bred. He finished 3rd by 1/4 lengths that day, and he was on the pace that day. And then the winner came over to him and the other horse that day, which cost him. He wasn't gonna win. It really cost the winner the second place finisher the win. But because they had to place the disqualify the winner, they placed him second through disqualification. He was hitting the wall, but it was the right thing for the place horse. But he ran his heart out that day. On prior to that, in his sophomore outing at Monmouth, 5.5 in that main special weight, he finished fourth by 11 3/4 lengths, and he had a very wide poster. He was wide throughout, and he just kind of hit the wall there late. And then 23rd July at Monmouth, 5 furlongs in main special weight, he finished fifth by 11.5 lengths that day. He was very wide again, and he just needed race for experience. He's definitely been on the improve. He's training well. I'll give him a shot here. Even the 2B, where's Chris for Dick Dutrow and Ira Hughes Jr. First time starter here. He's been training quite well at Belmont on the training track here. Nice pedigree. I'll give this horse a shot on the ticket here. But to recap my selection for the 6 from Aqueduct, beginning of the late pick 5, gonna take the 5 horse Picata Prince, 5-4 2B1X there, 5-4 2B1X Super, 5-4 2B in your multi race. Do you get that? I don't think I did. But so let's get to the 7th event from Aqueduct, beginning of the late pick 4. It is an allowance race, purse $100,000, race for fillies, mares, 3-year-olds and upwards, number 118,000 of the main claim starter, blah, 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 blah. We have a field of 15 horses entered. Keep in mind, 10 through 15 are MTOs. And again, if this race goes to the dirt, the MTO race isn't half bad at all. But hopefully it stays on the turf. They're going to the outer turf course for the first time of the season. The distance of ground of 1,200 meters or 6 furlongs on the outer turf course. And it's the only course they can run sprints at Aqueduct. So in the next year and a half, this turf course will probably get very eaten up. But hopefully not. But hopefully, if you ever go to Aqueduct, it doesn't really show on TV. The reason they can't run inter-turf race turf sprints is because those turns are very narrow. You think Pimlico's narrow if you've ever been there in person. These the inter-turf course at Aqueduct, the turns are sharp and narrow. It's horrible, and they could try running turf sprints on there, but it wouldn't be you would have to have 8 horse fields or something like that, because it's just and you would have to have the rails down. If the rails are out, it's game over. But like I said, this turf course can get very well eaten up. My top selection here, I'm going to go with the 5 horse Georgie Spirit. I'm going to go 5-1-3-8 in the superfecta. 5-1-3-8 Super. Top selection 5 horse Georgie Spirit. 3-year-old for the More Spirit. Jorge Abreu trains. Ira Hughes Jr. gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 19th of August, Saratoga. 5.5 on the medal and allowance race, 115,000. First time facing older horses. First time off the bench. He finished 5th by 4.5 lengths that day, and he just never got out of the gate so clearly, and he just needed the race. He was just flat that day. Second off, back to Aqueduct, who's run very well in the past. I'm going to give him another shot to win here today. 2 back in Op 6-2 at Aqueduct in late spring, 6 furlongs, 27th of April. He finished 3rd by 4 3/4 lengths that day. He just kind of stalked all the way around the race course. He was a little bit wide, but off the bench, he ran a decent race there. And then they took him against a little tougher competition in the Stewards Manor here at Aqueduct, 6 furlongs, 5th in November. He finished 3rd by 1.5 lengths that day. He just kind of stalked that day. He needs something more late, but he ran his heart out there. And then they took him to the Miss Grill on the 1st of October over the mile. He finished 6 by 4 lengths that day, and he just didn't show up. He was facing very tough competition. Wasn't the world's toughest Miss Grillo, but still, he wasn't keeping up there. But prior to that, he broke the main at Saratoga, going 5.5 quite nicely last summer, winning by a half a length, closing up from nowhere after a hard beginning. I thought it was a very good effort. Refreshing here at 5-1. I'll give him a shot second off. I think the 1 horse here, Don't Look Back at All, could win for Christophe Coman, Jose Ortiz. First time turf sprinting in a while last time out at Saratoga on the 19th of August. He finished 2nd by 3/4 length, and he had a horrible beginning that day, but he really had the turn of foot that day. Not a bad race at all. Prior to that, because he is a PA bred, they ran him at Parks, 6 furlongs in an allowance race where he won by 2.5 lengths on the front and all throughout, a very good race. And then they actually took him to Presque Isle to run in a state bred allowance race there, where he finished 2nd by 3/4 of a length that day, where again he got caught late, but he ran his heart out. He ran here last season in the Matron, where he finished 4th, came back to run a 4th in the Stewards Manor on this turf course. Not bad races at all. Refreshing here at 8-5. I'll use him in the late pick 4. Even the 3 horse Dictanter for Jorge Abreu and Flavian Pratt. The race 3 back, the maiden victory on this turf course wasn't bad at all, where the horse had a bit of a trouble trip early on. If he runs that race, he could definitely win. The race at Belmont in mid-June was just horrible there. We had a stupidly wide poster. He was also had a wide trip last time out also. I think with a better poster here today, he should find the winner circle a little bit easier. I would use him in the pick four that begins with this race. But to recap my selection for the seventh from Aqueduct, gonna take the number five horse here, Georgia Spirit, 5138 Super, 513 to the late pick four. So let's get to the eighth event from Aqueduct, which is a claiming event going forward. $45,000 purse races for Phillies Mayors, 3-year-olds and upwards, and 1-2 races here. We have a field of 9 horses going 1,400 meters or 7 furlongs on the Aqueduct main track. Gonna take the number 8 horse Divine Cross, 8619 for me in the superfecta. 8619 Super. Top selection 8 horse Divine Cross. 3-year-old fielded by Cross Traffic. John Kimmel trains. Katie Davis, who's had a very incredible Saratoga meeting, gets the mounts. The horse's most recent outing, first off the bench, came the 16th of August Saratoga. 6 furlongs in a allowance race, 115,000. Saying their height's just a little bit too high. The horse finished 7th by 13 lengths there, and the horse was just wide and just completely crumbled. Three Rivers, who beat this horse, is a decent horse that day. Down the class ladder to claiming 40, has some forwardly pace, has done decent races on this track. This horse is in a better spot. 2 back in an optional 50 at Aqueduct, 1 mile 22nd of January. The horse finished 4th by 4 1/4 lengths that day. A little bit wide that day, needed some more ground, but I didn't think the horse ran bad that day. And then on the 4th of December on the mud, 7 furlongs the main special weight, winning by a nose that day. He didn't get out of the gate so clearly, it was a little bit wide, but when he got to the front and he grinded it out to the wire, I thought that was a very good race after all is said and done. Even the debut here, he lost to Interpolate, who was a decent horse. This horse was just very lackadaisical and had a lot of 2-year-old antics in that spot, but has definitely been improving, has run races fast enough. Second off the bench, a little longer trip. I expect this horse to run well. I think the 6 horse here, Ghostly Girl for Javier Castellano and John Toscano, could win. This horse has only won once. That came early this year at the Fairgrounds, going a mile 70 and a maiden 50, where the horse won by 2 3/4 lengths going away that day. Since then, he's just run some crap races. The race right after that, the Fairgrounds, was quite crap. Had a decent place where he got caught in the stretch at Oaklawn, and then ran crap at Keelan. Then they tried him sprinting where he just ran crap. But he's way down the class ladder from some of his previous races. Since he's come down in class, he's done a little bit better, not those crap races. 5-2, he could definitely win with a change of scenery. The one horse Roman Goddess might need the race first off the bench, but is getting some class relief from some of those races he's been running in the Midwest. Coming here to New York for the first time on dirt. I'll give him a shot here. The most recent workout's been quite nice, though, for him. But to recount my selection for the 8th from Aqueduct, going to take the 8-horse Divine Cross, give kudos to the 6-horse Ghostly Girl, and the 1-horse Roman Goddess, 8619 Super, 861 in your multi-race. Let's head to the 9th race, beginning of the late double. It is a claiming event going for $45,000 purse race for 3-year-olds and upwards. Never won 3 races here. We have a field of 12 horses entered. 11 and 12 are MTOs. 10 will head to the inner turf course, 1,700 meters the journey, or a mile 16th on that inner turf course. I'm going to take the 1A here, Ghostly Prince. I'm going to go 1A648 in the superfecta. 1A648 super, top selection 1A horse, Ghostly Prince, 5-year-old owned by Cairo Prince, Rudy Rodriguez trains. Flavian Pratt gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 16th of August, Saratoga, a mile and 1/8 on the melon in a start allowance race. And the horse won by nose that day. He had a very wide trip that day, was wide throughout, but he settled well towards the back of the pack. When he had the turn of foot, he was closing up well, and Flavian rode the race perfectly. He got there in the nick of time. Against some tough horses, not a bad race at all. He's refreshing here. It's a claiming 40, not the world's deepest claiming 40. Rudy Rod doesn't have the best numbers ever for turf horses, but they could definitely win. I'm going to give this horse another shot on the ticket. Quite cool for Rudy Rod and Flavian Pratt meeting up. Only 26 mounts for them in the last year and a half, but 8%, so, not so bad. But 2 back, the horse ran at Belmont at mile 16th on the 9th of July on the inner and claiming 30,000, where he finished second by length that day. Spectre really won it on the front end that day, but this horse was gaining that day from the inside. Not a bad race after all is said and done. And then mid-June at Belmont at mile 16th on the inner and claiming 30. The horse finished 4th by 1 3/4 lengths. Had a bit of a trouble trip which cost his horse that day, but he ran his heart out. Since coming back to the green stuff, this horse has definitely been on the improve. If you just go from the dirt to turf races, the turf numbers have been that's where the horse wants to run. Getting Flavian back up at 8-1. I'll give him a shot here. I think the 6 horse here, Space Launch, getting serious class relief, go win for Christoph and Manny Franco. Most recently, an Ops 6-2, going a mile 3/8 on the 27th of July at Aqueduct at Saratoga. Excuse me. He finished 5th by 7 lengths that day. He was with them early on, but then he just kind of crumbled. He just, saw a little bit too tough competition. That's been the key with him lately. Prior to that, going a mile and a quarter on the 1st July at Belmont, he finished 3rd by 1 3/4 lengths. Again, getting bumpy in the beginning. He just couldn't keep up there. Going a mile and 8th off the bench, you probably need the race. He ran a decent 5th on this turf course last year behind Jerry the Nipper. He won here quite a few seasons ago in December 2021. That was the only victory on this turf course. But, since then, he's been facing tough horses. I think cutting back in trip to a mile 16th, lesser quality horses on a more leveler playing turf course. Out of all the turf courses in New York, the inner turf courses between Aqueduct, Belmont, and Saratoga, I don't think this one has such a serious bias on it. Sometimes the Belmont one, especially the Belmont one, routing, and the Saratoga one routing, can get very speed favoring horses winning. This turf course, closers could definitely win on this inner turf course. So, I'll give him a shot here on the ticket. And, the 4-horse Spetro, he won on the front end quite nicely at Belmont on closing day and nearly won in mid-June on the front end, where the horse, Joel just didn't ride the best race on this horse that day. But, refreshing here back to Aqueduct, where he had a decent place on this turf course in November. I'll give him a shot here on the ticket, but he might need the race. But it's a very nice 9th race to nearly end off the card. But to recount my selection for the 9th from Aqueduct, going to take the 1A horse, Ghostly Prince. Give kudos to 6-horse Space Launch in the 4-horse Petro, 1A 648 Super, 1A 64 in your multi-race. Let's get to the nightcap, the 10th race from the Big A. The 10th race, it's a main special weight per $75,000. Race for mains, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. State breds, field of 15 horses entered. 16 horses, including hard of an entry, entered. But we'll have a field of 12 horses going to the inner turf course, to the outer turf course. Excuse me, I can't speak now. Or it's gonna be field of. Where were we? Field 16 horses. 10 will head to the inner turf course, or the outer turf course, distance of ground 1,200 meters or 6 furlongs on the outer turf course, 36 feet. The rails are set out. Excuse me, I've been talking for 35 minutes already. I can't speak. But my top selection here, I'm going to go with the 8-horse Boston Strong Mama. I'm going to go 8-1-2-5 in the superfecta. 8-1-2-5 super. Top selection 8-horse Boston Strong Mama. 3-year-old filly by Mashawish here. George Weaver trains. Trevor McCarthy gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 27th of August, Saratoga, a mile off the turf on the Wilson Mile in the main special weight. He didn't finish the race that day. He just never was really, he broke on top and then just completely crumbled. Something must have went amiss that day. I would like to know the story behind it, but I'm going to give him another shot. Lesser quality horses, more leveler playing field, cutting back to 6. He's in a better spot to win. Prior to that, he ran terrifically on debut on the 8th of July at Belmont. 6 furlongs on the inner in a main 40,000. He finished 2nd by head. From a wide poster, he stalked. He was a little bit wide throughout, but he was gaining well that day. Not a bad race after all said and done. I do like that after the last race, they took him back to a turf working on the Oklahoma training turf. Half mile and 51 flat with the dogs up. 46 best workout 51. So he must, something must have just went slightly mishap. Maybe he just wasn't handling the dirt at Saratoga or the quirkiness of the Wilson Mile. Refreshing here, I'll give him a shot in this spot. I think the 1-horse Soretto could win for James Bond and Junior Alvarado. James Brown had a bit of a quiet Saratoga meeting. All of his horses are usually stabled up there and usually run terrifically, but this summer they just haven't been firing. This horse is 11-time maiden, but he's due for a maiden victor, and I think he'd get it here today. Most recently he ran Saratoga 5.5 in that main special weight. We finished 3rd by 1.5 lengths. He was a little bit wide, but he was gaining late. He showed potential that day, and then prior to that, main special weight over the mile at Saratoga, at Belmont, he finished 4th by 3.25 lengths, a little bit wide. He just kind of hit the wall there. They tried him going 7 in early June at Belmont on the Widener, where he finished 2nd by 1/4 lengths, where he got caught in the lane. I do think the 6 furlong is the Goldilocks zone for him. I think 5.5 is a little bit too short, 7 is a little bit too long, 6 furlongs is what he wants to do. He nearly won here last October, going 6th in the main 40,000, where he just missed late. If he would have broke better, he would have a victor, and we'd be facing state bred allowance horse today. But he just didn't miss. He just missed a break, which cost him that day. But again, he ran his heart out with the 60 bar. He's run races fast enough. I'll give him a shot here on the ticket. Even the 2-horse Valoose for Christophe Clement, Irad Teach Jr. getting blinkers off. I don't think he liked the blinkers last time out. He never really concentrated with them. Prior to that, Saratoga in July off the bench, he nearly won going in that main special weight on the turf. Again, another horse, he doesn't run on the green stuff so often, but when he finally does, he really runs these decent races. I'll use him here on the get-out leg of the multi-race wagers here on day one of the Farewell Tour from the Big A. But to recap my selection for the 10th from Aqueduct, I'm going to take the 8 horses Boston Strong Mama, 8125 Super, 812 10 off the multi-race wagers. With that being said, good luck to all. Remember to join me throughout the next 3 years for a lot of Aqueduct previews. And also check out, I forgot to mention early on in the video, join me tomorrow for my Meadowlands All-Turf card preview. I'm going to look at full card selections for the Meadowlands also this fall. So check out that preview. And remember to follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world. Good luck, everybody.